On the main menu, we've got the Creation Club. This is what we're going to be looking at briefly. The Creation Club features the Hellfire Power Armor for 500 Bethesda bucks, the prototype Gauss Rifle for 400 Bethesda bucks, the modular military backpack for 400 Bethesda bucks. By the way, this is the only mod that I've seen that is of quality. It is very, very well done and would be actually worth the asking price, I think. Next up, we got the Pip-Boy paint job, and then we've got various other Pip-Boys. But the most important thing, obviously, is horsepower armor, because when you take a Giddy-Up Buttercup and adhere it to a power armor, then you have horse armor. Horse power armor. What do you guys think about the Creation Club in its current state?
In its current state, I'm not very fond of it, but I see the spark for a good idea here, actually.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and tell us about that?
Okay, well, as a mod author, I could make mods a lot, some income stream from them, but I'm too small to get that started. So if I had some way of going to Bethesda and say, hey, I've got this content, the guys on the PS4 would love it, why don't you put it on your Creation Club? I'll take the proceeds just from the console players and then the PC players that love the Creation Club. Don't know how many of those there would be. Then I'll use those funds to make my mod better and keep publishing updates. That's what I could see as being something quite beneficial.
If it were that kind of system, I'd agree, but what they do is there is no revenue split. What happens is the person who creates the item is paid on the alpha, on the beta, and at the full release. In other words, they're given a contract, which includes a non-disclosure agreement, by the way. That's why it's been pulling teeth to get information about this. So all of these people sign a non-disclosure agreement with Bethesda, and then a contract to work for hire, you know, where they will produce a piece of equipment, and then once it's done, their contract is over, and they might get contracted again or not. But the idea behind it is they're paid during the alpha, the beta, and the full release, and they are not actually given a revenue split. So assuming that they give the mod author $5,000 or $10,000 across their entire contract, they're looking at getting a return of $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in console players buying these things.
Right, and that's a good point. I should have clarified, just saying getting any kind of revenue stream for doing mods would be greatly helpful. Of which I'm not really thrilled about the premium currency. Wish you could buy it with Bitcoin, Dogecoin, but I can understand the reasons for doing it that way.
All right, well, the reason why and for those who don't know, the reason why premium currency is used the way it is because credit card companies charge up to 20 cents per transaction, which means when you are buying something cheap with a credit card, the credit card companies are actually gouging the small businesses. Now, I realize Bethesda could, you know, they could increase the cost of the things to compensate, so on and so forth, but to deal with it best is a premium currency, and that's how all these mobile games and things that use microtransactions have figured out, okay, well, we can get people to spend a minimum of $5, or in this case, a minimum of $7 in order to get their Bethesda bucks. And then they'll use those Bethesda, because once they buy Bethesda bucks, those Bethesda bucks have no value as a real-world currency. I feel that a judge is going to need to eventually come to a ruling as to whether or not this does have value, but until it does, it doesn't, you know, the money is spent and it can't be refunded. So that's their way of going, haha, now buy our stuff, you know.
Yeah, and speaking of a judge, I really wish they'd come out and just call this thing a contract content system to clarify what it is, because all they do is keep saying it's not paid mods, but they don't really clarify any further than that what it is.
Well, let me tell you, because I have actually talked to people and understand it now, most of this content is produced in-house by either Bethesda Softworks or more than likely Bethesda Softworks subsidiaries such as Bethesda Montreal. You know, people who are not part of the main Bethesda Softworks team. They produce the content, then they go and put it up here. So assuming not a single mod author signed on to the Creation Club, they would still be successful, minus a really cool backpack.
That is true, and I can see the potential for constantly adding content to games, hopefully making them not so eager to push out rushed content when they actually do release full games. Just like I said, if they could come out with a way for me, who's kind of an amateur mod author, to make some sort of living, even if it's only from console sales, and then use that to better my free PC mods, that's what I would consider an ideal situation. Whether they get there, personally, I kind of doubt it, but here's hoping.
All right, well, Eskarn, you saw something about Morgan's spacesuit that you wanted to share with us.
Yeah, so last night I finished doing a whole bunch of mods for this stream, and then this morning I'm forced to download 2 gigs on really bad internet. However, all of those things on the Creation Club are now in our folders, and you can open them up, and you can take them out, and you can add them back to the game.
So what are we looking at here with this Nifscope Morgan spacesuit thing here?
Well, that's pretty much the mesh you see in-game if you had the Morgan suit on.
So, in other words, you were able to, using Nifscope, simply open up the files that the Creation Club has already downloaded onto your computer without actually paying for the Creation Club, you know, without unlocking it using Bethesda's premium currency.
Yep, that's pretty much it.
So, $0 invested, you already have access to the materials.
Yep.
That's interesting. And the second picture we've got here, the Archive 2.
The Archive 2, so that would be all of the assets that are in the Prey armor, or the Morgan armor.
I see. So, literally, all of the assets from the Morgan Prey suit that they're selling on the Creation Club, all of that is currently available to modders or people in the actual, you know, in their third-party tools.
Yep.
Without
if you
paying
downloaded the update, then it's in your data folder.
All right. I just want to make this clear. I've made it clear on another podcast. I do not advocate piracy. However, I make a distinction between stealing things and when somebody puts something on, you know, gives something to you and says, you can't use it. I'm like, what? They gave you that data. You can mod it. You can open it. You can do with it as you please because they gave it to you. On-disc DLC is a charade. I don't know why.
If they didn't,
go on.
If they didn't want you to be able to edit it or mess around with it, they probably shouldn't have rolled it out with their update.
I mean, number one, they wouldn't have rolled it out. Number two, they would have encrypted it. If they had rolled it out. Like, it would have been heavily encrypted and decrypted when you got it. Or, you know, they would have downloaded 90% of it and had missing chunks of the files that you then completed through a process of purchasing it.
Yeah, something like that.
Exactly. Isn't decompiling of files constitute piracy? They aren't. That's just it, though. They are not encrypted. They have no security on them. You're simply opening them.
Yeah, to my way of thinking, it's kind of like those annoying freemium games where they don't charge you for actual new content. They just charge you to change the value of a variable on your own device.
Yeah, which you can do yourself. I mean, you can give yourself 9,999 what's called lunchboxes in Fallout Shelter, and people do all the time. So it's at Fallout Shelter. Here's the problem. I would have a problem if Fallout Shelter had a leaderboard, had a competitive system of some sort where you sent your dwellers to attack another vault. Then you'd have an active online system where it would be important that the integrity of the game be maintained. However, the developer's vision for making money doesn't necessarily enter into the purpose of the game and may actually run contrary to it. Wouldn't you say so?
Hard to say. All I know is I just found the right INI file, tweaked the number, and I've got 10,000 lunchboxes to work with in Fallout Shelter.
An INI tweak. You didn't decompile anything, did you?
I used somebody else's tool, but if I had gotten bored enough, I would have made my own tool.
Yeah, but decompiling isn't necessary, merely the editing of a value. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Correct.
Exactly. So, somebody asked me, isn't decompiling a product constitute piracy? And what you're thinking of decrypting, not decompiling. When something is encrypted, that's like breaking into a safe, for instance. It's a different thing entirely. All right, so as far as the value proposition, because I recently spent $60 on a freemium game, and I have no regrets. It was for cosmetic shit. So, how do you feel about the value proposition of 50 cent, or should I say technically 75 cent, Pip-Boy paint jobs?
I think the value's about right. It's what I would say is a fair value for what's being provided.
Yeah, because, I mean, what it comes down to is whatever the market will bear is what you can charge for. You know, people will be outraged regardless. Like, the Chinese stealth armor is available for free on the Nexus, and it is a better version in theory. But, you know, this version, I want to say that it's easier. You know, you can just literally click this button and, you know, click the buy now button. Bam, you are now having that in your game.
I don't know that's easier for the PC version, but this is definitely geared towards selling additional content to people on the console, especially the PS4 that's blocked from getting regular mods.
That's honestly one of the things I was going to say was the PS, should I say, the PC version has always had full modding. In fact, we have a script extender now, which got broken in the recent update. They're going to have to update that. But once the script extender gets fixed for the newest version, then we will have even more mods than the Xbox version has in their repertoire. The Xbox version has most of the mods available, whatever the authors have decided to upload to BethesdaNet. If it's a standard mod, it doesn't require script extender functionality. It can work on the Xbox. Then finally, we have the PlayStation, which is barred from using third-party content because of Sony's walled garden. There's a reason Microsoft is in talks with Sony to try to get crossplay going, because you have a game like Rocket League where there's literally just one variable they need to change in an INI file, and then they can have their servers are ready to receive PlayStation people with Xbox people, with PC people. Like, Rocket League is ready to go. All it takes is Sony say so, and Sony's saying no.
Sony's saying no. Who would have ever thought?
I know. But that's what it comes down to, is because Sony has repeatedly said no, and the only mods available on PS4 are these super cheap ones, like, change the amount of money a vendor has, for instance. Like tiny, easy things. I mean, there's Wildcat, I believe. A few of any Scions mods for Skyrim made it over to the special edition, but it's still kind of sad. So I can see why the people who are on the PS4 are hungry for content. And I can see why the number of people on PS4 being... they're like 40% of Fallout 4's player base. it makes sense that even if every single PC and Xbox player boycotted this new system, they'd be able to get their money off the PS4 people.
Yeah, there's a ton of PS4 users.
Yeah, I think that's the second most frequent comment I get with my YouTube videos is this coming to PS4?
Yes, I could definitely see that. Eskarn, do you have anything else to say about this system?
It would be a lot better if they got a whole bunch of the Creation Club people, put them together into a team, and actually made some, DLC-sized quests or missions or something like that to actually add some half-decent content instead
Oh
of
yeah,
just...
there's that 5,000 page limit that they currently have. That's going to be kind of annoying.
Yeah, they're limited to 5,000 forums on the on all of the mods there. So every single mod, each one is smaller than some of the smallest mods we have. And it's maddening, the idea that, yes, they're actually compressing it because they are pre-loading these mods onto people's computers. And, you say 200 gigs, and it's kind of maddening. Oh, yes, you talked about the Hellfire armor, someone in the chat. Let me pull that up really quick because this is very relevant. So, the Hellfire power armor. I actually did a podcast with that guy. It'll be up at some point. This particular author who worked on this, along with the creator of Interesting NPCs, we'll end up seeing them later on for sure, but not today. But what I'm saying is that a lot of people have a lot of opinions regarding this, and his Hellfire power armor uses, I think it was it was way over the limit versus this one, which isn't. So yes, and this is a very simplistic version of it, which is, again, unfortunate that they have to do that. They have to dumb down and streamline their mods, or to make it fit. And in this case, this is Bethesda. Or a Bethesda contractor who is doing the work, like doing the exact same mods. So, someone pointed out the Gauss rifle was the one that they're using is a cut content from the game that you can find in the data files.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I know there's Chinese assault rifles in the cut file.
That sounds interesting, yeah. But in general, I've got to say that $7.99 for for Bethesda bucks, I'm not feeling it. If I could buy just 200 Bethesda bucks, maybe I would feel better about this, because then I could just get one or two simple things, like maybe a Pip-Boy or the handmade shotgun. But no, they want to make it uneven, the amount of stuff you have, so there's always a little bit of Bethesda bucks left over. Oh, I gotta spend that. I gotta spend a little bit more money, So I think that's where it's coming from, I think. Alright, well, to wrap this up, is there anything else, like, as far as how you would ideally do the Creation Club, or change things up from how it is
Absolutely.
right now?
I would say Bethesda should allow pitches for content instead of saying we're going to seek people out ourselves. You need not apply.
Yeah, I know that a lot of people have applied and a lot of people have been rejected.
I specifically want to be able to submit, say, I'm doing this mod. I want to have some version of it on the Creation Club. Maybe if you only want to give me $200, that would still help me promote my modding efforts in the future.
Absolutely. The problem is with their current system, they remove your name from it. The original author has no presence in the actual mods. So in the example of, say, a military backpack, you'd expect your name, it'd be your name, apostrophe, S, military backpack. But no, that's not the way they do it. They take complete ownership of the mod and make it into official DLC, into an official microtransaction. Somebody asked if there is a Skyrim Creation Club, the answer is no, not as of yet. But I know that it is in production because this has been, at least reports say that this has been extremely successful. So, all right, well, anything else before we wrap this up?
Yep. I've got the Art of Fallout 4 book in front of me. And if I go to page 243, I find the homemade shotgun.
Really? So
Yep.
this was part of the original Fallout 4 concept art that they never put into the game.
Yep. And now they're going to charge you, was it, $2 for it?
Yeah, about $2.40, somewhere around there. $2.40 for a shotgun.
Yep.
There we go then. So that is definitely something to think about.